Thank you very much. First of all, my respected father, Teddy, Mrs. Yamuna, head of the department, and other participants of this program. I am really indebted to all of you for inviting me to deliver a lecture on style manuals. And as all of you know, style manuals are a part and parcel of research writing. Okay. Now, I think in order to make my presentation, the host has to do something because my icons are not visible now. So let us start with style manuals and referencing. Say, for example, I have not titled it as academic writing because academic writing itself is a very big topic that requires hours together. What are all the nuances of academic writing? Our chief guest, Reverend Father, has given a very good prelude or introduction to what is meant by academic writing and what are all the prerequisites of academic writing. And that is why I am not going to talk much on that, but I will, as a prelude, I will just tell you what is meant by academic writing and what is the need of academic writing. I need not tell you, but still, I should, by convention, I should tell you something.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Can you please put in the slideshow mode?
Yeah, because again, there can be problems because that is why I am just keeping it. Let me try. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Okay. Because on certain occasions I have found that the slides may not move, and that is why. Okay, if it doesn't move, please tell me. Okay. So professionals, including teachers, are required to write articles, especially journal articles, doctoral theses, business letters, research proposals, and research reports, project proposals, etc. And in addition, you know, you may be a secretary or president of some organization or some professional forum, and then in that case, you will be forced to write minutes. Writing minutes also, you have to follow a certain pattern. You can't write minutes the way you like. Okay, so that also requires some professional skill, and that is why I have included writing minutes under the purview of technical writing or academic writing. And professional summaries. So when I say professional summaries, what I have in mind is the abstracts that you have to prepare for when you write an article. In journal articles, you can come across abstracts. Now it has become the order of the day. If you go through the journal articles some 20 or 25 years back, it was not mandatory to have abstracts. But now every journal, whether it is a very acclaimed journal or a poor quality journal, emphasizes the need for an abstract. Why it has become all the more easy, all the more mandatory? Because with the advent of information technology, especially internet, you know, these abstracts can be shared with persons, not the full text, but the abstracts. And along with that, you might have also noticed the need for key terms. What is the need for giving key terms? Because that will be the softwares which are embedded in the internet, which form part of the internet, which are known as the web crawlers, or otherwise known as spiders. Will pick up these keywords and make them as part of the index prepared by the website, or prepared by the internet, or prepared by the Google or some other medium. And so that is the need for preparing professional summaries or abstracts or key terms, etc. Now, when I say professionals, I started with the term professionals, but that includes not only the professionals, or because I am emphasizing this because when we talk of professionals, we just very often think of the doctors, the engineers, the teachers, the legal professionals, etc. So the medical professional, engineering professionals, legal professionals, and teachers also are also included. But others are also have to excel in writing. A typical example is research scholars, and students also have to excel in writing. Even for writing the examination, you have to know how to write an essay, or how to write a short note, and how to make a distinction between a short note and an essay, and what is the difference between a very short note, a small short note, and a note, and how can you distinguish it from an essay, etc. So that is why I said even students need excellent writing skills, and this has become all the more necessary in the present context of submitting assignments. And students, whether you are part of the graduate program or postgraduate program, this has become a part and parcel of the credit and semester system, assignments, because much of the internal assessment is made based on your performance in the mid-semester examination or in the model examination, and the assignments that you write. And therefore, if you want to write good assignments, then also you have to be prepared for that. Why I am emphasizing so much on assignments is that makes the students excel in the writing career. In the writing career, when I say writing career, that means at the higher studies, you have to necessarily, whether you go for MPhil and PhD or any other research degree program, you have to necessarily write the thesis. And therefore, this is a ground for making yourself as a very good accomplished writer. Why I am emphasizing is that till a few years back, our students, especially at the graduate level, were not trained in writing assignments. Of course, during the school days, perhaps most of you may remember that the teachers used to give you, especially the language teachers, English teacher as well as Malayalam teacher, used to give you composition. You will be given a topic, and you will be asked to write. Sometimes the teacher himself will dictate what is to be written, and because as they make it as a part of the exercise. And in fact, you have to. Why I am saying is that even decades back, I have the experience of some universities prescribing these writing assignments, even at the graduate level, especially the private university like BITS Pilani, Birla Institute of Technology and Science, Pilani. Perhaps you might have heard about that. They used to give it as part and parcel of the graduate program. And some of the other universities also, because at that time, some 2 decades back, there were not many private universities, but except Pilani and a few others. But they used to insist on that because they were modeling their curriculum on the Western model, and therefore they used to give. But as far as we are concerned, there was not such much insistence, with the result that when you go for research or when you are asked to write assignments at the postgraduate level, students find it difficult. Most of the students, from my experience, I can say that depend upon the Wikipedia, and they will just copy it and arrange it in some way, and that will be submitted as part and parcel. And even they will forget about removing the underlines, so that a teacher can very well understand that has been taken from Wikipedia, and even the reference number will be there. So what I am saying is that why so much of introduction is given is that it is high time that students are given assignments, not only at the graduate level, but even before that, I should say. And there should be methodology paper, not only methodology paper, even at the postgraduate level, all disciplines should have a dissertation. And here I just want to, I will come to that later. So if you want to write, whether you are a research scholar or a professional or a teacher or a student, if you want to survive and excel in your pursuit, you have to have good writing skills. Okay, is the slide moving? Can you see the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Now, just I want to bring before you the distinction between general writing and academic writing. What makes academic writing distinct from the so-called general writing? Say, for example, you might have heard a lot about creative writing, that is writing fiction or writing short stories or writing drama, or things like that. Okay, there you have a lot of freedom. You can write the way you like. Say, for example, you can write a personal letter the way you like. It should not have a particular format. Even though at the school level, you will be taught how to write a letter to a father asking for the fees or something like that. And then you will be given a format for writing personal letters. But still, you can take your freedom. You need not strictly follow that. Nobody will question you, even if you deviate from the format given to you. And same is the case with personal email. Okay, you should know the nuances of writing emails. That means you should not offend the other party and other things are there. That is, you have to obey the netiquette. I hope most of you are familiar with the term netiquette. Etiquette, that is in the day-to-day behavior, you have to follow certain etiquette. And the following of that behavior at the net context is known as netiquette. Okay, writing notes. So for example, you want to note down the notes, lecture notes, and nobody will question you why you have done like this. So writing notes, then making comments. Suppose you are making a diary, you have the habit of writing diaries every day. And in that case also, nobody will question you. Same is the case with the general articles. By general articles, I mean the articles that appear in newspapers, that appear in popular periodicals. Popular periodicals, as I need not tell you, say, for example, something like the Week, the Frontline, or coming to Malayalam, Kala Kaumadi, or Samakalika Malayalam, or Madhubhumi Weekly, etc. Here also, even if you slightly deviate, and if you follow your own personal style, nobody will challenge you, nobody will question you. But that's not the case, same case with technical writing, or of which academic writing is a part. Technical writing, that means you have to follow certain technicalities. And academic writing also forms part of the technical writing. So I should say technical writing is a broader term to academic writing. Academic writing is technical writing confined to the academic field. When I say academic field, what I have in mind is as part of your curriculum, as part of your course. Okay, here, you can just see in the box what are all the academic writing that you resort to in as part of the teaching, as part of the study. Exam answers. As I told you in the beginning, if you want to write a very good article, or if you want to write a very good essay, okay, the teachers will give you marks based on the way you have written the answer. Say, for example, if only the essay that you write has got an introduction, and if it has got a text which is divided into paragraphs, or if you make use of subheadings, and if only it has got a very good conclusion, then only you will get good marks, or perhaps maximum marks. On the other hand, if you write the essay the way you like, without any rhyme or reason, what is meant by rhyme or reason? Without any logic, as things come to your mind, you write the essay, the marks scored by you will be much less. And that is why I said writing exam answers. Say, for example, being a teacher, I have the experience. Certain students, they might have come prepared to write a certain essays, but same question will come as a short note. Then what will they do? They will write an essay on a small topic for 4 marks or 5 marks. And if when they answer 5 short questions, much of the time, or 3/4 of the time will be over, and they will get only 1/4 of the time for writing 2 or 3 essays. And then what they will do, their essays will turn out to be short notes. Okay, so that is why I said even writing exam answers requires some skill, writing skill. Then writing project reports. Okay, now writing project reports have become an essential component of teachers. Say, for example, teachers are assessed, or their promotions are made based on their assessment. If you want to be favorably assessed, say, for example, if you want to increase your API score, you have to write letters, you have to give project proposals, and you have to get project proposals approved by funding bodies. And then once you are assigned with project proposals, you have to complete it, and you have to give project reports. And then lab records. Lab records, as all of you know, as part of your higher secondary classes, you might have, those who are from the science stream know how to write a lab records, whether it is part of chemistry or physics or botany or zoology, you know, it follows a particular pattern. Then synopsis, which I have already mentioned about abstracts, that also requires some skill. Due to paucity of time, I am not going into the details of how to write a synopsis, how to write an ideal synopsis, etc. Then dissertations, thesis. And here, you know, in India, we make a distinction between dissertations and thesis. Whereas in America, they don't make a distinction. They uniformly, they call it as thesis, dissertations. So for example, whether the thesis is part of a lower degree like MPhil degree or PG degree, or higher degree like PhD, that also is called as a dissertation. Whereas in India, we make a distinction. That means the thesis submitted as impartial fulfillment of the lower degrees are called as dissertations. That is why you use the term MPhil dissertations, whereas PhD thesis or DSc, Doctor of Science thesis, etc. And then course materials. Why I have included course material is that now this has become a hot area as far as good teachers are concerned. Now, with the advent of distance education programs, with the advent of online programs, you have to write course materials. Good teachers are very often approached for writing course materials. There you have to follow a certain pattern, a definite pattern. And then abstracts, okay, which I have already mentioned. Then research papers. I should say, writing a research paper or a scientific article is not so easy as you think. Because there are strict guidelines given by the publishers, and you have to conform to the guidelines. So for example, most of the journals will permit you only a length of 3,000 words or 4,000 words at the most. And you have to write everything within the number of words. Then how to give the tables, how to give the references, etc. So many guidelines will be there. So writing a research paper. That is why I just wanted to make a distinction between a general article and a research article or a scientific article. So writing research papers or scientific articles form part of the academic writing. So this is by way of introduction to what is meant by academic writing. When it comes to research writing, we confine ourselves to dissertations, writing theses, research papers, project proposals, project reports, writing course materials, like course materials in the modern context or in the e-learning context are called as learning object resources, LOR, L-O-R, learning object resources. Course material was the term that was used earlier, especially the materials written for the distance education programs. But now the same thing, but slight differences are there in preparing learning object resources. Say, for example, for e-learning programs, you know, you have to embed these programs not only with your textual matter, your address, that means something, your lecture notes, that means the video of giving you the lecture, or some other extra videos taken from the internet or things like that should also be given. That is the difference between the course material and the learning object resources. And now the order of the day is Moocs. As all of you know, whether you are a student or a research scholar or a teacher, you must be familiar with what is meant by Moocs. Moocs stands for Massive Open Online Courses. Massive Open Online Courses. This has become the order of the day. Now, the world-renowned universities like Harvard University, or Oxford University, or Cambridge University, or MIT. MIT is the world #1 university according to certain rankings, global rankings. MIT stands for Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and they all offer Moocs. And these Moocs are not offered by them directly, but they are offered through online platforms. Now, so many online platforms are there. You might have heard about Coursera. Coursera, a very prosperous online platform. Okay, and then Khan Academy, you might have heard about. If you are not familiar with these things, you can note down and you can understand what is maybe Coursera, or what are the services offered by them. And then comes EDX or Udemy. Udemy means spelling is U, the letter U followed by demi. Udemy. These are all certain prominent online platforms. They offer massive open online courses. Just think of the situation where you can possess a certification by Harvard University or MIT or Oxford University. Just remember how proud you can be, because that is now possible. Only thing is that Moocs are free, but if you want to have a university certification, definitely you have to pay. You have to pay. And perhaps you might have read a few months back a girl in Ernakulam. If I remember correctly, she is from Ernakulam district, who completed more than 100 online programs during the COVID time. During the COVID time, there were all the academic institutions were closed down, and then she thought of joining certain programs, and she completed more than 100 programs. Okay, that means now if you want to keep up to date, it is possible. Okay, now, if you want to excel in academic writing, you have to possess certain skills. Okay, now what are the skills required for academic writing? And three important skills are required for effective academic writing. As was rightly pointed out by the Reverend Father, one is the subject competence. Okay, you have to be very good in the subject, then only you can write a very good article. Okay, competence in the subject, a very good understanding, a thorough understanding of the subject. And then along with that, you have to have a competence in the language in which you want to write. If you want to write in English, you should have mastery over the language. Then only you can write beautifully. You can't take liberties in your writing, but still you can write correct English, correct language, etc. And then comes organizational competence. What is meant by organizational competence? Say, for example, if you want to write an article for an esteemed journal, a prestigious journal, you have to strictly follow the guidelines given by that article. That will tell you how to organize. Perhaps some of you at least might have heard about the IMRAD format, IMRAD, IMRAD format. Those who are not familiar can just note down what is meant by IMRAD. IMRAD stands for the introduction, and then comes methodology. Okay, then comes the methodology adopted by that, then the discussion, then the analysis and discussion, and that includes the discussion and the conclusion also. That is the IMRAD format. Okay, so that is what is meant by the organizational competence. If you want to write a PhD thesis, or for that matter an MPhil dissertation, it has to follow a certain norm. So for example, first chapter will introduce the topic. The second chapter you have to devote to the literature review. The third chapter you have to devote to the methodology, and the fourth chapter will be your analysis and the description or the discussion, etc. And the fifth chapter will be devoted to the abstract, the summary and conclusion, etc. So that is the organizational pattern that has to be followed. Okay, these are the three most important skills if you want to be an effective academic writer, academic writing. And now the question comes, where comes the role of style manuals? And now I am directly going into my topic, that is the style manual. A style manual is otherwise also known as a style guide, is a means of documenting your approach as a writer. Your approach as a writer to certain elements of writing style that need to be consistent. Okay, now you may think that you are very good in English and therefore you can write the way you like, but that is not sufficient for academic writing, or that is not sufficient for technical writing. Say, for example, there are certain guidelines you have to follow. Say, for example, you can't make use of the first person like I or we. If you are describing the methodology you have carried out in your experiment, you can't say that I took out 5 ml of sulfuric acid and poured it onto copper sulfate solution, copper sulfate, etc. No, you can't write. Okay, so you have to follow a particular pattern. But now, where comes the role of style manuals? Because style manuals will help you to be consistent. And what is the need for consistency? I will give you an example. suppose you have joined for PhD, and you may be writing the PhD thesis maybe at the end of the third year or at the end of the fourth year, as the case may be. Sometimes it may take more years. If it is part-time research, students are likely to take more years. That is quite customary. Okay, and in that case, you might have started writing from the first year itself. At least you might have started writing the literature review in the first year, but by the third year, you will become more seasoned. You will become a very good writer, but then your writing style might have changed, and that will affect the consistency of what you have written earlier and what you have written now. And that is what is meant by consistency. Okay, style guides are generally associated with certain type of writing, like technical writing, commercial or business writing, journalism. Journalism is another area where you have to assiduously follow a style manual. Okay, now if you make an inquiry with the journalists, you can see that they are given a style manual. Every newspaper will have a style manual. Every newspaper. Say, for example, I hope all the participants are from Kerala, because I want to refer to certain Malayalam newspapers. If you are not quite familiar, then also you will get the idea. Because if you take Mathrubhumi Daily, you can see that they very often click on or stick on to certain words. A typical example is the word apakam. Whereas if it is in Malayalam Manorama, it will be apagata. In Malayalam, apagata, if something is wrong, or apagata, wrong. Okay, a mistake, apagata. But Madhrubhumi will always use apakam. And you know that Madhrubhumi has got so many sub-editors working throughout the state, or even in Gulf countries, or Delhi or Bombay editions are there. But if everybody wants to follow the same usage, then a style manual is needed. So the style manual given to them will contain, instead of apakata, you just make use of apakam. Similarly, in writing, India, because all of you are familiar with writing India. I'm not talking about English. I'm talking about Malayalam. India can be written in different ways. One is India, in the E followed by Inda, then India. Then the same India can also be written E in dia, India. The difference is that in the first word, you are making use of only 2 letters, and in the third word, the second word, you are making use of 3 letters. So newspapers generally prefer the shortest word. Therefore, most of the newspapers will write India. But during school days, you might have written India, something like that. So that is why I am just amplifying the need for consistency. If you want to ensure consistency throughout your thesis, throughout your dissertation, a style manual will help you. Why I am emphasizing the need for style manual is that many creative writers avoid the use of style guide because they have overconfidence. There are very good scholars in different subject fields. They may be having an idea that I am very good in my subject competence. I have subject competence. I am very good. My English is very good, and I don't commit mistakes. And therefore, why should I refer to style manuals? So, thinking that you have both these competencies, you are likely to avoid a style guide, believing that the ability to follow a standard English writing style should be an innate quality for any writer. Because I was groomed in the English medium environment, and therefore I am very good in English language or in my regional language. Then why should I refer to style manuals? And there is another belief, there is another sort of thinking among persons that this is needed, or style manual is needed only for giving references. Why I am saying is that because of I've given hundreds of lectures on academic writing itself, And while during the interaction, many of the teachers, many of the senior professors used to ask me, say, for example, style manuals, I know, are very good in giving citations. So they think that style manuals prescribe only the citation pattern. Of course, they give the citation pattern, but don't be under the impression that style guides or style manuals give only guidance to citation patterns. They enlighten you in all areas of writing, all areas of technical writing, all areas of academic writing, etc. That is why I just wanted to emphasize. Okay, now I'm just giving you the usual contents that you come across, the usual components that you come across in different style manuals. There are, as was mentioned here in the introductory welcome address, she was just mentioning that there are so many style manuals, but today we will confine more on two sought after style manuals. But irrespective of the hundreds of style manuals available in different subject fields, that contain a lot of information. The contents are more than what you think. They do not confine themselves to citation pattern or the way of giving references, etc. Say, for example, editorial style concerns uniform usage of such elements like how to give punctuation marks and abbreviations. Okay, if you want to give abbreviations, just I will tell you, those of you who have given references might have noticed that how to give the abbreviation of the journal, abbreviation of the word journal. Anybody who is attending? Let us be interactive, otherwise you may feel sleepy. What is the abbreviation for journal?
JR.
JR. Okay, have you come across any other abbreviation? Any other? No? If you go through various references that you come across, you will see that so many abbreviations are used. There is so much of inconsistency in giving the abbreviation. Some references will give journal as such, okay, without any abbreviation. The full word is used. But as was mentioned here, some journals will make use of JR, whereas some others will make use of JL, journal, the first letter and last letter. Okay, and whereas in certain references, you can come across JOU, full stop, JOU, full stop. That is the acceptable form according to certain international standards. JOU should be the abbreviation of a journal. Same is the case with so many other terms. So many other terms are used. I am just giving you the journal as an example, because since you are quite familiar with the usage. Then it will just tell you construction of tables, how to give a table, what should be, what are the parameters to be followed, or what are the points to be followed while giving a table in your text. Okay, say for example, most of the style manuals will tell you that every table should have a caption, and there should also be a table number. Even if it is a journal article, you have to give the table number, table number 1, table number 2, followed by the caption. Then where to give the caption, top of the table or below the table. Then similarly, how to give the figures. There also, most of the style manuals will tell you have to give a caption. Caption means heading to the figure or photograph or whatever it may be. So that is what is meant by construction of tables. Then selection of headings, how to give headings, whether you should give the headings in bold or in small letters or in normal letters or in italics, etc. Otherwise, what will happen? In one chapter, you will give the headings in one way, and in the next chapter, you will get the heading in a different way. So if you want, that is why I emphasized the word consistency earlier. Then citation of references. Of course, this everybody knows that style manuals are very helpful in giving you the citation, correct citation of these things. Then presentation of statistics, how to give statistical information. Here also, people may differ from each other, how to give the statistics. Okay, then many other elements that are part of a manuscript. Okay, these are some of the things, and other things are also there. Say, for example, what should be the preferred sentence length? It encompasses many different aspects. What is the preferred sentence length? Every style manual will tell you that the sentences should be as brief as possible. Conciseness. Say, for example, as far as academic writing is concerned, we very often make use of the term ABC. Whenever we say ABC, we have in mind, say, the basics. He doesn't know the ABC of something. That means he doesn't know even the basics. But as far as academic writing is concerned, when I say ABC, I have in mind A stands for accuracy, B stands for brevity, and C stands for clarity. So our Reverend Father just mentioned all these things. It has to be clear, as it should be crystal clear. Then only it can be understood properly by different persons who read it. So then, for that, preferred sentence length is that the sentence should not be so long. Say, for example, sometimes when you write, the one sentence will occupy the entire paragraph of 5 or 6 lines. It should not happen like that. In technical writing or academic writing, sentence, say, for example, you should not give very long sentences. Okay, you should avoid verbiage. That is how you can be so concise. Verbiage means repetition of words, redundancy, etc. Then manuscript layout. How to prepare a layout. Say, as I mentioned at the beginning, if you go through the articles, you can see a title of the article followed by the credentials of the author. That means the address of the author, and the address followed by the abstract in the prescribed number of words, immediately followed by the keywords. Okay, and then only you will start with the body of the article. And there also you have to follow the Mla format, which I have already mentioned. Then that is the manuscript layout as far as the journal is concerned. Then font usage. What font do you have to make use of? Font, there are so many fonts. If you are making use of Word, or if you are making use of a DTP software, there are different types of fonts. Individual preferences are there. Certain types of fonts. I don't know whether you are familiar with the different fonts. Times New Roman font or Arial font, and very often, fonts are broadly divided into two. One is serif fonts, and sans serif fonts. Hope at least a few of you know what is the difference between these two. I will give you an example. Say, for example, the letters that you come across here is sans serif. Sans in poetic language means without. Sans. You will come across this word sans, S-A-N-S, only in poetry, not in ordinary English. Sans means without. Sans serif means, say, for example, if you go through Times New Roman, you can see that if you write 1 or if you write 4, you can see that there are certain things at the beginning or at the end of the 1. Say 1 is written with a slight deviation at the beginning, and then there is a stoppage at the below. That is, these are known as the serifs. So typical example is Times New Roman, serif font. Sans serif fonts means you can't come across. All of them are rounded letters as you come across in my PPT, because I like sans serif fonts. Individual preferences are also there, but these style manuals will tell you if it is better you follow a particular serif font. Later we will see that some of the style manuals will prescribe the Times New Roman. Some others will prescribe Georgia, etc. But that depends upon your individual preferences also there. But the style manuals will serve as a guideline. Suppose you don't like Times New Roman, you can go for Arial font, or you can go for Georgia or any other font which is attractive, and that is the font usage. Then level of treatment of a subject, depending upon the document that you prepare, the levels may vary. Levels may vary. If it is meant for children, it should be, the style should be somewhat lower level. If it is meant for peers, or if it is meant for somebody else who are above you, of course, it can be a little bit pedantic. Pedantic means, somewhat scholarly, etc. Then spelling, this is most important, because there are variations in UK spelling and US spelling. If you are making use of word, UK variant is there, US variant is there. The default is US, because it is an American software, and therefore the default spelling will be a US spelling. If you want to make use of UK spelling, of course, you can change. You have the option to consistently make use of. Otherwise, what will happen in chapter 2, you may make use of COLOR for color, COLOR, that is the American spelling. But in the 4th chapter or the 5th chapter, you may write COLOUR, COLOUR. Okay, that means there is lack of consistency. So that is spelling. Readership considerations, as I have already told you about the level of treatment. Depending upon the readers, you have to change your style. Then use of abbreviations. This I have already mentioned. Then what are the accepted terminology? Certain terminologies are not accepted, especially in the modern context. Many of the style manuals prescribe that you should have to make use of general neutral language. Gender neutral language. Nowadays, there is so much sentiments are there about the language depicting the males and females. Certain language themselves are derogatory. Derogatory means speak ill of the one gender or the other. So certain terminologies are not accepted, and they will just give you, it is better you make use of this term in order to express this meaning instead of this term. Then the use of symbols, including punctuation marks. Symbols, how to make use of the different symbols. Then what is the voice preference, whether you should write in active voice or passive voice. Technical writing or academic writing, in general, prefer active voice. Active voice. Passive voice also can be made use of. Only difference is that passive voice will be longer. If you want to be as brief as possible, it is better you make use of active voice. Then the sentence structure, paragraph numbering. Certain styles will prescribe you number the paragraphs. And indentation. I hope all of you know what is meant by indentation. Indentation, I will tell you, because we have to mention so much about indentation later. So I will tell you what is indentation. Indentation, say for example, when you start a paragraph, you will give an indent, a 5-letter space, or you just press the tab button in the keyboard, so that 5-letter space will be there, or half an inch space will be left, and you can start a new paragraph. But nowadays, there is another style that you should not leave out any indentation. But style manuals prescribe indentation. Then how to make use of the headings. Say, for example, what is the main heading? What should be the font size? How to give, whether it should be normal font or whether it should be bold. Okay, what is the first level heading, the second level heading, third level heading, etc. I hope you can understand what is first level, second level, etc. Subheadings. Subheadings belong to several levels. First level, second level, third level, etc. Then the use of lists, how to give the list of certain things. And say, for example, you may have, for example, in your PhD thesis, you may found that you have a long list of hundreds of items. Whether you should give all the items in the list, or you should confine yourself to the first 50 or first 100 or something like that. Then trademark or branding considerations. Trademark considerations. Say, for example, certain trademarks. Say, for example, certain names, you can just come across an encircled R on top of that. Encircled R, that means it is a trademark and you can't violate it. You can't violate it. If it is put as encircled R, you have to follow that. And branding considerations, that is, you have to strictly follow the pattern followed by the owners. Now let us come to the actual style manuals. This is, so far I have devoted my time just to tell you that style manuals are essential, not only for writing the various articles and other things, not only for giving references, but it tells you several things. It will make you a very good writer if you assiduously follow, or if you strictly follow a style manual. Later, I will come to what are all the chapters which will help you, even if you are very poor in English language, something like that. Now, there are hundreds of style manuals, as I told you, and of them, the most prominent are the three ones which I have just listed here. The first one is Chicago Manual of Style. Chicago Manual of Style, that is in the 17th edition now. That means that it is the oldest style manual. And in fact, Chicago Manual of Style was first prepared for the writers of books of Chicago University Press. Chicago University Press was a famous publisher. Okay, similarly, you know, Oxford University Press is another famous publisher. So they have started the style manuals for the internal writers. That means you have to follow a particular pattern. Later, that found wide acceptance in the academic community, and therefore they started bringing out in the form of a manual of style for the open forum for everybody, even for academic writers or technical writers, etc. That is why, you know, 17 editions have come across, have already passed. And the latest one, the 17th edition, came out in 2017. And for your information, its Indian reprint is available, and therefore Chicago Manual of Style is somewhat hefty. Hundreds, some 500 pages or 600 pages are there. And even then, since Indian edition is there, it is available at a low price. Okay, I don't know the exact price now. Then the second most prevalent style manual is Publication Manual of the American Psychological Association. In brief, we call it as APA style manual. APA. APA stands for American Psychological Association. It has got wider acceptance all over the world at the global level. And the 7th edition has come out, and that is the latest edition. And now the Mla Handbook. Mla Handbook, the 9th edition, has come out recently, that is in 2021. If I remember correctly, that came out in March, in July or June or July. I don't exactly remember. Mla Handbook, the 9th edition. So far, only it was the 8th edition. Okay. So Publication Manual of the American Psychological Association, I told you, it's a very good one, which is widely followed in the social science subjects. But still, certain users prefer the 6th edition, because since you are quite familiar with the 6th edition, because it was with us for the last so many years, for more than 7 or 8 years, you know, people are more familiar because they have brought out certain changes in the 7th edition, and therefore some people find it easy to follow the 6th edition. There is nothing wrong with the following 6th edition. Suppose your authorities allow it or your guide allow it, okay. Otherwise, it is better to follow the latest one. So these are the three prominent manuals. So a few other examples are also given here. American Anthropological Association Style Manual, American Sociological Association Style Manual, then Scientific Style and Format. Okay, Scientific Style and Format. Actually, this is the style manual for Council of Biology Editors, Council of Science Editors, that is CSE manual for authors, editors, and publishers. Especially, this is quite widely used in science subjects, in botany, zoology, etc. Scientific Style and Format, that is the CSE manual. Its 8th edition came out in 2014. Then Columbia Style Guide was brought out by Columbia University Press, and it's not so popular as the Chicago Style Manual. Then the latest one, the IEEE Standard Style Manual. IEEE Standards Style Manual is more used in computer science and engineering disciplines. Okay, because IEEE stands for Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. IEEE. They frequently revise their style manual. That is why the 2021 manual has come out. 2020 style manual was there previous to that. And here, as far as engineering is concerned, you know, you have to have certain additional things which do not appear in normal language. Say, for example, mathematics. If you want to make use of profuse use of mathematics, definitely IEEE style manual is more helpful. Same is the case with the computer science. So computer science people prefer to make use of IEEE rather than Chicago style manual or any other style manual. Then American Institute of Physics style manual, then Turabian style manual. Turabian style manual, I should say, is an abridged version. It is not strictly an abridged version, but still it is a smaller version of the first one, which I have already mentioned, that is Chicago Manual of Style. The first manual, which I have mentioned, Chicago Manual of Style. Okay, it is a smaller version, which is more adapted to science subjects. Okay, so they have, as I told you, Chicago Manual of Style is quite long, quite lengthy, because it caters to the requirements of two types of styling, and whereas Turabian is more oriented towards science subjects. So this is just a selective list of style manuals. And then, say, for example, before going into the different aspects of usage of style, I just want to give you an idea of how a typical research article will look like. This is taken from a well-known journal by Elsevier. Elsevier, perhaps most of you must be knowing, is the world's biggest publisher of scientific journals. I should tell you, they bring out more than 2,500 journals in different subject fields. And virtually there is no subject fields which is not covered by, which is not brought out by Elsevier. So here, as I already mentioned, first of all, it will start a title, followed by the listing of the authors and their addresses. And this is followed by the abstract. You can just see the abstract, and then comes the keywords, and then the text, then the text. Okay, and of course, then the tables, how to give tables. This is the purpose of my thing, how to give tables, how to give tables. So for example, here you can see that the journal follows a two-column pattern, but still, if the table is very long, you can make it in two columns. Okay, and then this is followed by the last one, that is how to give references. Okay, how to give references. And then comes, say, here, you know, if you go through the references, you can see that the references are numbered. Numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. This is just, I wanted to tell you, you know, when the references are numbered, you can say that this follows numerical pattern of giving citations. Say, for example, the two style manuals which I am going to deal with today, that is APA and Mla, follow the author date system, whereas the first one, that is the Chicago Manual of Style, prescribe both these patterns, the numerical pattern as well as the author date system. Okay, this is just to give you an idea about what is meant by numerical pattern. Even though Chicago Manual of Style doesn't come in the purview of today's talk, I just want to give you an overall view of Chicago Manual of Style, being the oldest style manual which was published in 1906 by the University of Chicago Press. Okay, it is one of the widely used and respected style guide in the United States. Okay, it has got an online version also. And then it has got two different styles, that is the notes and bibliography style and the author date style. The notes and bibliography style follows, which I have just mentioned, the numerical style. That means the references are given according to a particular number. The first reference will be referred to as number 1, the second reference number 2, third reference number 3, etc. And it also prescribes author date system. Okay, this is just, I wanted to tell you, the author date system is more common in sciences and social sciences. Author date system is more common in scientific disciplines and social science disciplines. Whereas in the humanities, you know, the other pattern, that is, what is that pattern? That is the numerical system is widely used. Okay, in this system, that is the author date system, sources are briefly cited in the text using parentheses. Parentheses are the round brackets that you come across. Very often, you know, in Kerala or in India, we use the term brackets. That is the round brackets. But the exact term is parenthesis. that is the correct term, parentheses, or you have to say round brackets. Otherwise, you know, you have to, when you say brackets, it has to be the square brackets. Okay, you know the difference between square bracket and round bracket. If it is round bracket that you mean, then it is better to make use of the term parentheses. So within parentheses, you give the author's last name and the year of publication. That is the method of giving author date system. Now, I told you every style manual gives certain guidelines. Say, for example, here the contents of the Chicago Manual of Style are broadly divided into 3 parts. What are the 3 parts? The part 1 is the publishing process. Publishing process that will serve as a general introduction to the publication of books. Suppose you want to write a book, you want to publish a book. What is to be followed, or what should be the guidelines? How to give the preliminary pages. Say, for example, I will just give you an introduction, an example. Say, for example, if you go through different books, you can see that if there is a preface and a forward is written by an outside authority, whereas a preface is given by the author. Then which one should come first? So all these things will be listed here. That is why it is. So the first 4 chapters are devoted to the publishing process, and part 2 deals with style and usage. The 5th chapter exclusively deals with grammar and usage. Grammar and usage. This is why I said earlier, even if you are very poor in English grammar and usage, this particular, if you devote some time, you devote a few hours, this particular chapter will tell you how to overcome the common mistakes that you make. That doesn't mean that this will do to be a master of the English language, but no. But what are all they will tell you about the common mistakes made by people, and they will give you guidelines as to how to overcome these mistakes. Then how to put punctuation marks, then spelling, what the distinctive treatment of words and compounds. Okay, so for example, even though you may think that the meanings of 2 words will be the same, but there is subtle difference between the meanings in different contexts. Then names, how to give the names, how to give the terms, and how to give the titles, and how to give numbers. How to give numbers. Perhaps you may wonder what is to be followed in giving numbers. Say, for example, the guidelines, all the style manuals will say, when you say from 1 to 9, you have to spell it out. 1 to 9. Say, for example, 2 things were taken out, or 2 liters of sulfuric acid was taken. Then you have to spell it out, TWO. Don't write T and don't write 2 in numeral. Up to 9, you have to follow the letters. But 10 and above, you can make use of numerals. So I'm just giving an example. Then how to give abbreviations, which I have already mentioned. Then how to give languages other than English. So for example, how to give Latin words. That means you have to give in italics and other things. Then how to give mathematical symbols, how to give quotations and dialogues. And the third part deals with the source citations. That means that will tell you about how to give references. That is the citation pattern. How to give notes, and how to give bibliographies, how to give author date references, and how to give indexes, etc. So with this, I stop with the first one, that is CMOS. CMOS stands for Chicago Manual of Style. And then let us come to our topic, that is the APA Style Manual. APA Style Manual is widely used in, I have given the subjects which follow APA Style Manual: psychology, sociology, business, economics, nursing, social work, law, and other social science disciplines. So APA Style Manual is more prevalent or more widely used in social science subjects. So don't be under the impression that APA can be made use of only in social science subjects. Even in science subjects, you can make use of. There is nothing wrong with that. But the usual preference is for social science subjects. It provides clear guidance on grammar, the mechanics of writing, and the style of writing. Style of writing, I have just given you how APA, how the Chicago Manual of Style deals with that. Then say, for example, here also you can come across how to treat the numbers, how to give the numbers, how to give the metric measurements, how to give statistical tables, figures, and other presentations. So here also you will come across, as I have given the contents of Chicago Manual of Style. Here it has got 12 chapters. You will see that the chapters are more or less the same. Scholarly writing and publishing principles, how to write papers, how to write journal articles, how to, the fourth chapter in the earlier one, Chicago Manual of Style, the fifth chapter deals with writing style and grammar. Here the fourth chapter deals with that. Okay, then how to make use of bias-free language. What is meant by bias-free language? I told you, nowadays people are more sensitive and you have to be very careful. Gender neutral, for example, how to, certain terms have to be avoided. And instead of that, say for example, you might have heard that that should not be history. History stands for historic. So it should be her story or something else. It should not be mankind, because mankind deals only with man. Okay, so you have to make use of humankind. Okay, that is what is meant by general neutral language, etc. Then tables and figures. Then how to give credits, how to cite. That means how to give in-text citation, etc. Then how to give references, how to give the then what are all, how to give legal references, and the last chapter deals with the publication process, and it also deals with how to give references to electronic sources. Okay, say for example, electronic reference sources include how to cite electronic books, how to cite electronic dissertations and theses, otherwise known as ETDs, electronic theses and dissertations, how to give abstracts, how to give bibliographies, how to give curriculum and course material, how to give book reviews, commentaries, reference materials, how to give raw data. This is an upcoming area, raw data. Say, for example, there are certain sites where raw data are freely available. Okay, I'm not, I don't want to deviate. That is why I'm just stopping here. Then how to cite computer programs, how to cite software and programming languages, etc. And then finally, gray literature. Gray literature means it's an essential thing which is in research. So for example, report literature is a typical example. Use of standards, especially in engineering. I told you that engineering people prefer IEEE because it gives how to give references to standards, how to give references to patents. Okay, so gray literature includes how to give references to report literature, how to give references to patent literature, how to give references to standards, and how to give references to trade literature, etc. So all these things are there. Then along with that, I told you this particular journal, this particular manual is not confined to the citation pattern, but it gives you general guidelines as for manuscripts. So for example, APA style manual prescribes that it is better you follow whenever you prepare a manuscript. Manuscript should be prepared double spaced. Double spaced. Nowadays, you know, with the in olden days when manual typewriters were quite common, you know, people used to follow double spaced or single spaced. But now with the advent of Word software, you can arrange it 1.4, 1.15 or 1.5 or double spaced as the case may be. But uniformly, APA style manual prescribes double spaced on standard sized paper. That is, standard sized paper means A4 size paper. They give it in inches, 8.5 into 11 inches. In A4 size, you know, in metric measurements, it is 210 into 297 millimeter. 210 into 297 millimeter. That is the A4 size. 210 means 21 centimeter. 210 millimeter means 21 centimeter. Followed by the length is 297. That is 29.7 centimeter. About 1 feet. Okay. And that should be the standard size of paper you have to make use of with 1 inch margin on all sides. That means on top, on the right hand side, on the left hand side, on bottom, you have to leave 1 inch margin. Whenever you prepare a manuscript, you have to follow this guideline. Do not align the right margin. Align the right margin. Leave the right margin as such, but you align left. Only the left side should be aligned. As you can just see in the PowerPoint presentation, the left side is aligned, that is starts from the same area, whereas on the right hand side there is no alignment. Then double space text throughout the paper. So throughout the paper you have to make use of double space, and each paragraph should be indented. Indented means you have to leave a half an inch, and there is an easy way. You just press the tab and automatically it will move half an inch inside, so that the indentation is possible. And put one space between sentences. Put one space between sentences and the punctuation marks. Say at the end of sentences you will put full stop. Am I right? At the end of sentences we will put full stop. Am I right? Anybody?
Sir, the mic is muted to all, and they are responding in the.
Okay. 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 Because punctuation marks, usually, at the end of the sentences, you have to put a full stop. Sometimes it may be a question mark. Sometimes it will be exclamation mark. These are the three punctuation marks that you come across at the end of sentences. After the punctuation marks at the end of the sentence, you have to leave a space. The same rule has to be followed after every punctuation mark. If you put a comma in between two words, you have to leave a space. If you put a semicolon, you have to leave a space after the semicolon, etc. Okay, now the general guidelines for manuscript. It should follow a particular pattern. I have told you several times. It should have a title page. It should have abstract. Then it should have the textual matter, which consisting of the introduction, muted, results, discussion, interspersed with the tables and figures as embedded in the textual matter, followed by the references and appendices. Appendices are not mandatory. They are not mandatory, but if you want to show the viewers, the users, certain things, definitely you have to resort to appendices. Then this gives certain ideas. Cite the work of those whose ideas, theories, or research papers that you have directly influenced their work. So that means if you have taken the idea, some people believe that if only you have taken a text, if only you have taken a sentence from another author, you need to cite them. You need not acknowledge the ideas taken from others. No. You have to acknowledge the ideas also. That means if you have taken certain ideas or certain theories or research material that you have taken from others, definitely you have to give citations. Also provide documentation for all facts and figures. All facts and figures. Say, for example, suppose you are writing something on the population of Kerala. You have to give it as it is 3.44 crores or something like that. If it is taken from 2011 census report, you have to give the reference. Or if you have taken from Manorama yearbook, you have to give the reference. Or whatever be the source from where you have taken the information, you have to acknowledge. You have to give the citation. Use the author date system to cite references. Here it is mandatory. You are not free to give the enumerated system. What is enumerated system? That means the pattern of giving numbers to references. No. Here strictly you have to follow author date system to cite references. This means that each work used in a paper has an in-text citation. In-text citation. What is meant by in-text citation? I will come with examples in the next slide. That means whenever you write a text and whenever you are quoting somebody, you have to put the last name of the author followed by the year of publication within parentheses, within the text. That is known as in-text citation. So why it is called as in-text? Because that is put within the text. That is why it is known as in-text. Whereas the citations means the references that you give at the end of the article. The in-text citation appears in the body of the paper or as part of the table or figure or footnote or appendix, as the case may be, and that identifies the cited work by its author and publication date. That is why I said when you put the in-text citation, you put it within parentheses, only the last name of the author or the authors followed by the year of publication. Cite both paraphrases and direct quotations. So don't be under the impression that if only you take the idea, you have to give references. No, even if you paraphrase means you have converted the ideas of somebody else. You have converted the points given by somebody else and made it in your own. Even then you have to acknowledge. And of course, if you are directly quoting, definitely you have to give. Quotations are to be cited. It is preferable to paraphrase sources rather than directly quoting them. So this manual, that is APA style manual, prescribes that you should reduce the direct quotations, and as far as possible, you should resort to paraphrasing. Okay, because paraphrasing allows you to fit in the idea into the context and the style of your paper. Because if you are quoting profusely, if you are giving quoting items as such, it will affect the flow of your textual matter. So it is better you resort to paraphrasing. That doesn't mean that you should not quote. Of course, certain things are there which you can't avoid quoting, because you cannot replace the terminology used by the author, and therefore you have to necessarily quote his own words. You cannot replace the words given by the author. In that case, definitely you have to quote. Okay, include the author, year, and the page number for direct quotations. So remember, when you are taking an idea, or if you are paraphrase, you can just give within the parentheses the last name of the author followed by the year. Okay, but when you are quoting, you have taken the quotation from some place, you have to give the page number also. Not only the author's name, followed by the year, followed by the page number. Okay, I will come with certain examples later. Now, here the prescription of APA style manual is that if it is a short quotation, that is a quotation less than 40 words, you can put within quotation marks. Okay, but if it is a long quotation, say for example a paragraph, it is better to give it as a paragraph with the indentions on both the sides as far as possible. Okay, that means you have to leave 0.5 inches from the left hand margin, and or right hand margin, or you can leave right hand margin as such. Throughout your paper, use prescribed fonts. Okay, prescribed fonts. I was just telling you about serif fonts and sans serif fonts. What is meant by serif fonts and what is meant by sans serif fonts? Say, for example, an example of sans serif font is Calibri. Calibri is a preferred font by many of the style manuals, and you are free to make use of Calibri. If you want to make use of sans serif fonts, you can make use of Calibri, or if you want to make use of sans serif font, it is better you make use of 12-point Times New Roman. 12-point Times New Roman. Okay. If it is more than 12-point, letters will be bigger. If it is less than 12-point, that will be somewhat less. Okay, then I am just giving you certain examples of in-text citation. So be under the impression that the in-text citation should always be within put it parentheses. No, don't be under the impression that all the in-text citation should be parentheses. No, you can also make it as part of your textual matter. But in that case, only the year, not the author. If you are taking out your author's name out, then you have to put only the author within parentheses. So for example, here, I'm just giving an example. If you are citing one author, say for example, the last name of the author, Luna, followed by the year of publication. You can also give it as Luna within parentheses. You can just give the 2020, conclude at that, or is of opinion that, is of the view that, etc. You can just give. Then if there are two authors, how to give the citation within parenthetical citation, that is in-text citation, that is Salas and D Agostino, and ampersand is used. Remember, don't forget this. This is very important. Some people have got a tendency to put A and D here. No, within in-text citation, you have to put ampersand. Okay, but in the reference, you have to make use of A and D in order to connect two authors. So instead of that, you can also write Salas and D Agnos, that is within parenthesis 2020 has concluded that. Then how to give three authors, Martin et al. If it is more than two, you have to make use of the term et al, ETAL. The next one also, that is in the MLA style manual also, I will be dealing with the same thing. Et al stands for Italia. Italia, the word meaning is and others. Italia stands for and others. Okay. Then how to give a group author? That means if you are citing an institution. In the first citation, you have to give the full name of the institution, but full name of the institution followed by its abbreviation within square brackets. Okay, followed by the year. But in subsequent citations, you have to give only the abbreviations. In the first citation, you have to give the full, but in subsequent citations, you have to give only the abbreviation. Then group author without abbreviation. Say, for example, if there is no abbreviation possible, say, for example, University of Washington, you cannot abbreviate, because if you write UOW, nobody will understand what it means. Whereas National Institute of Mental Health, it is a famous institution which is known all over the world. But the abbreviation of University of Washington, it has to be written as such. Okay, this is how to give, or these are all the general guidelines given by prescribed by the APA style manual. Okay, can we have a break?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 5 minutes or 10 minutes?
It's up to you.
Okay, let us be liberal. You can take 10 minutes. Okay, so we will assemble back at 11:45.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Yeah, so there is difference between the citation patterns to be followed depending upon the number of authors in the cited material. Say, for example, as far as two authors, if there are only one or two authors, you know, the in-text citation has to be both the authors. Both the authors have to be given within parentheses. As I told you earlier, both the authors, say, for example, you can see the example here, Shang and ampersand, and it is not A and D, but ampersand, that 2019. But at the same time, if you are following the narrative citation means you are not giving the name of the author, within parentheses, but that is outside. Then you have to make use of A and D. You can just see Shang and Webb. Whereas if you are following in-text citation, that is within parentheses, both the author and the year, then Zhang and Webb are to be connected by ampersand. Okay, say, for example, I am just giving the same reference in the reference given below, that is Zhang Z and Webb S. Here remember that only the last name is to be given in full, and the rest of the name, only the initials have to be given. This is one important thing that you have to follow in APA style manual. Okay, one thing important is that only the last name has to be given in full. Say here, you can just see the example here, Zhang, comma, Z. Maybe Zhang, Zanzibar or something like that, but that is only the initial. Then Webb. Webb, you know, the S may stand for Sylvia or something like that. Okay, then not instead of Sylvia, only the S is given there. Then within parentheses, you have to give the year of publication and the title of the article. Title of the article. This is a journal article. Title of the article followed by the title of the journal, which is given in italics. Title of the journal is should be given in italics, that you have to remember. Say, for example, if there are only one or two authors, First of all, the author's name followed by the year of publication within parentheses, then the title of the article followed by a full stop, followed by the reading in a foreign language. That is the title of the journal, followed by the volume of publication, and within parentheses, you have to give the number, issue number. Okay, here you have to note one thing. Usually people forget about that. That is why I am just bringing it to your attention. Reading in a foreign language, that is the title of the journal, is given in italics, and the volume number also has to be given italics. Okay, volume number also has to be given in italics. That is why 3.1 is given in italics, but the issue number is given within parentheses is in the normal font, not italicized. Okay, then followed by the page numbers, followed by the page number, that is the inclusive page number. Inclusive page number means the starting page and the last page. And this has to be followed by, if it is taken from a website, you have to give the web address, http nflrw Hawaii, etc. So that if you are taken it from the abbreviation or the abstract you have taken from the internet, okay, the website address can be given. This is about 1 to 2 authors. But when it comes to 3 to 20 authors, when you have 3 or more authors, you only use the first author, that is the surname, and abbreviate the rest of the list with et al. Et al. Okay, that means the first author's surname in text and abbreviate the rest of the list with et al. So for example, up to 20 authors, you have to give the first author followed by et al. Et al, as I told you, and others. You list all the authors in your reference list, but here only the in-text citation you give the first author followed by the et al, then the year of publication. But in the reference, you have to give all the authors up to 20. If there are 20 authors, you have to list all the authors. You have to list the 19 authors, you have to put an ampersand and the 20th author. Okay, this is a major deviation from the 6th edition. In the 6th edition, you know, the citation pattern was something different. It was like that, one and 2 authors. Okay, I have already mentioned the same thing. But they have made another classification, that is 3 to 5 authors. If it is up to 3 to 5 authors, you have to give this pattern. That means the first author followed by et al. Okay. Then they have made another classification, that is 6 to 20 authors. 6 to 20 authors. Of course, they have given another pattern which will be shown next time. So if you are strictly following the third, this particular edition, that is the 7th edition, you have to follow this pattern. That is why I said earlier that some people still prefer the 6th edition, because 6th edition seems to be easier, because their explanation is that, you know, now the number of authors for each paper is increasing, and therefore you have to give visibility to them. What is meant by visibility? Their name should also be explained. Their name should also be given. That is the reason why. Up to 320. Then in your reference, you have to list all them. Okay, if there are 3 authors, you give here within the text, you have to give the author's name, the first author's name followed by et al, followed by the year of publication. Here you have to list all the 3 authors and followed by the year of publication, and thus, as I told you, the title followed by the title of the journal. But remember, the second line onwards, you have to give indentation. You have to give an indentation. Okay, if the reference exceeds 1 line, you have to give the 2nd, 3rd line, 4th line, whatever it may be, in indentation. This is a provision. This is a change they have made in the 7th edition. And then more than 20 authors. This is all the more difficult. And earlier they just mentioned that if it is 6 authors or more, you have to mention only up to the 6th, and then followed by et al. Followed by et al. But here they have made a drastic change. That means In the parenthetical parenthetical reference, you have to give the first author followed by et al. Et al means and others, and then the year of publication. And here, there are up to 20 authors. You have to give the 19 authors. Then you have to give ellipsis. That means 3 dots followed by the last author, that is the 20th author, then the year of publication, and it goes like that. Okay, this is the major difference, and you may find it difficult to follow at first instance, but when you read it or when you practice it, it becomes easier. Okay, that is if you spend a few hours, 1 or 2 hours, or when you do a bibliography consisting of some 10 references, things will become clear. And if you correct it with the guidelines given here, it will be clear. Or you can just log on to certain abbreviated sites. The abstract of the citation pattern of APA style manual. Various universities in America have given the abstracts in 5 or 6 pages, sometimes 10 pages, where very essential things are listed, and you can follow any of them. Okay, now cite multiple works parenthetically. Sometimes, while you may be citing three separate papers. Say, for example, you have mentioned something, say, for example, Adams, Shumway and Schulman and Westinghouse, etc. You are citing 3 different papers. And in that case, after your sentence, that means at the end of your sentence, you are giving parenthetical reference, parenthetical citation. And here, the first author, et al., followed by the year of publication, semicolon. The first publication is divided from the second publication by a semicolon. Then the second publication followed by the year of publication. This is again followed by a semicolon. That is to distinguish it from the third author. Okay. Now that is the thing that you have to follow. The citation pattern is the same as I have already mentioned. Now another complication is that you may be citing the same author who has written 2 or 3 articles on the same year. You may be citing the same author. Say, for example, an author who is very profuse, who writes extensively in a particular topic. In that case, you have to cite the same author and the references belonging to the same year. In that case, you have to differentiate them with the first reference as A, and the second reference, you can just see the author is the same. The first reference is demarcated by A, the second reference B, and if there is a third reference, you have to say 2012 C. This is how. Then the references will be listed in that order. That means Judge and Kammer Muller 2012 A, then Judge and Kammer Muller 2000 B, and Judge and Kammer Muller 2012 C, etc. This is how you have to list them alphabetically in the references. Then I have already explained this, how to give periodical references. I have just shown the previous example. That means if there are 2 authors, you have to cite both the authors. They have to be connected by an ampersand, and it has to be given. The name has to be given within parentheses. And title of the article you have to give in normal language. That normal letters, not normal language, but normal letters. But the title of the journal has to be given in italics, followed by the issue number, but followed by the volume number. But the issue number within parentheses should be given as normal. Okay. Then perhaps you may wonder what is this DOI. At least a few of you may be knowing that DOI stands for Digital Object Identifier. Digital Object Identifier is a number representing individual articles that are available in the web. Now, many of the publishers assign DOI to the articles published in their journals. DOI is something similar to the ISBN number of books. ISBN number, you must be familiar. Every book has got an ISBN number, International Standard Book Number. It is a unique number having only 13 digits. Similarly, DOI is a unique number representing each and every article available in the internet. But there is no fixed number of letters, fixed number of digits in DOI. It may vary from publisher to publisher. Okay, if the DOI is there, prefer the DOI. So for example, https://doi.org, etc. If there is no DOI, okay, the pattern is the same, but you just avoid the DOI because you are helpless. But in that case, you can follow the website address from where you have taken it. Okay, here it is, you can just see DOI. This article doesn't have a DOI, but instead you are just giving the website address if it is taken from the web. Okay, journal article with the 21 or more authors. Okay, 21 or more authors. Earlier I have just explained you only up to 20 authors. If there are 20 authors, you have to give 19 authors, then ellipses, 3 dots, followed by the 20th author, etc. But if there is a work with more than 20 authors, include all the names in the reference, include all the names in the reference up to the 20th one. When the work has 21 or more authors, include first 19 names and ellipsis, that is no ampersand. It is not ampersand, but the ellipsis, that is 3 dots. As you can see, 3 dots, followed by and the final author. Okay. Anyway, you should not list more than 20 authors. As we have seen earlier, you should not list more than 20 authors. This is one of the drastic changes that they have brought out in the latest edition, that is the 7th edition. Now, when an article has got no author or editor, in that case, you can render it under the title. Okay, if there is no author or editor for an article, you can give the under title. Then you have to give the year within parentheses of the article. Then the other pattern is the same. Okay, that is the title of the journal should be given in italics. And in that case, you have to use only the first 2 words of the title within the in-text citation. Remember, if you are referring to an article with no author or editor, you are rendering it under under the title of the article. In that case, you have to give only the first 2 letters, first 2 words. Okay, first 2 words, that also within inverted commas, followed by the year of publication. Such things are very rare. Journal articles usually will be having any author or publisher, but rare things are there without author or editor. Then we are coming to books. So far, we were confining ourselves to journal articles because in social sciences and humanities, journal articles exceed about 70 to 75% of the references will be journal articles. That is why I have devoted so much time. And here, as far as books are concerned, in the 6th edition, that means up to from the 1st edition up to the 2nd edition, up to the 6th edition, there was a need for giving the place of publication of the publisher. So, for example, here you can come across 3 authors, followed by the title of the article, the title of the book. Title of the book has to be given in italics. Here, in the case of periodicals, the title of the periodical has to be given in italics. In the case of books, the title of the book has to be given in italics. And remember that the title of the books have been small letters, except the first word, all words are to be given in small letters. Because why I am saying is that when it comes to the MLA style manual, all the letters, all the words have to be started with capital letters. This is an important difference between them. But you will be following either APA or MLA. And since I am forced to discuss with you both these things, I am just bringing it to your attention. Otherwise, there is no complication. Here, you need, because you are citing Elsevier, up to the 6th edition, you have to give the place of publication of the publisher. But now that provision is taken out because place of publication is no longer used because now most of the publishers are global. It may be in London or New York or California or maybe in Rome or Italy or something like that. Not Italy, but some other country, Copenhagen or something like that. And that is the reason why this provision has been removed. That is the provision of giving place of publication. Then, if it is a edited book, if it is a full book, you have to follow this pattern. If it is an edited work, you have to give within parentheses editors. Okay, it is an edited book. That is, there are three authors, three editors, and all the editors are given here. And remember, as I mentioned earlier, only the initials are to be given, not the full name. And then the title of the book in italics, followed by the publisher without place of publication. And if it is taken from the internet, you have to give the website address. Okay, now suppose you are referring to a book chapter. A book chapter, that also is quite common. You may be citing a chapter from a particular book. And in that case, you have to give the author of the article first. Book chapter means each chapter may be written by different persons, or it may be in the form of an article. In that case, you have to cite the name of the author. Within parentheses, you have to give the name of the year of publication, then the title of the article or title of the chapter, and then you have to give the editor's name. In R. Rosner, and remember the main difference is that it is R. Rosner in the normal order, not in the inverted order. In all these things, so far I was just mentioning that you have to give the names in the inverted order. That means the last name should come first. But here, while you are referring to an editor, you have to mention it in the normal order. Normal order. There is a logic behind that, because very often people will look under the last name of the author. That is why here, but here it can be in the normal order. Then here, the title of the book. Here, this is the title of the article, and this is the title of the book, as usual, in italics. Then within parentheses, you have to give the edition and the page number of this article. That is, this article belongs to, starts from 105 and runs up to 133. And it is brought out by the CRC Press, that is the publisher. If it is a conference paper, definitely you have to follow the pattern of the journal article. But only thing is that instead of the journal title, you have to give the name of the article, name of the conference. Say, for example, this is a paper taken from the conference proceedings of the annual meeting of the Southeastern Psychological Association. So you have to put it like that: Southeastern Psychological Association, the number of the meeting and the annual meeting. Then the place of the meeting, where place of the conference where the meeting was held, that is New Orleans, the country. And then if you are referring to web pages or websites, you have to give the date of taking it. Date of taking it. Why the date of taking it has to be given? Because websites may disappear after some time. Say, for example, you have given a reference taken in 2019, January 3, or say, for example, the date of the website. If the website date is given there, you can give the date of the website, because that may disappear after some time. Okay, here only thing is that, as usual, you have to give the title of the web page or website, followed by the web address. So these are the most common type of publications that you are forced to cite. And then, which I have already mentioned, reference entries also should be double spaced. I told you in the earlier guideline, as far as the manuscript is prepared, it was mentioned that the entire textual matter should be prepared in double spaced. So the reference entries should also be double spaced. And indent every line 0.5 inches. That means one tab. One tab means every continuation line. First line, start from the left-hand margin, and the continuing lines, as I have already told you earlier, the indentation should be given. Alphabetize alphabetize the list of references by author. Okay, then only you can locate. Say, for example, the author's name will be available from the in-text citation, and then you can go directly into the reference and find out the author, because the authors are given alphabetically. And this is a model thing. Say, for example, I've given the example of four references, and the references are given alphabetically. American Psychological Association. First one is not an author, but it is a publication. And here you have to remember one thing. Here you can't see an author's name. The publisher, the author name, author is American Psychological Association. Here you won't see the publisher's name. That means that the publisher is the same as the author. The publisher is the same as the author, because you need not repeat American Psychological Association here. But you have got the details or the abstract of this publication from a particular website. You have to give the website. Okay. So the references, these thing I have. Only I just wanted to tell you that if the reference extends over more than one line, there should be one tab. Here also you can just see it should be indented. Here also there is indentation here also. This is about the reference pattern or referencing pattern prescribed by the APA style manual. As far as social science subjects are there, APA style manual is widely followed. But when it comes to humanities, the most preferred is MLA. MLA stands for Modern Language Association. Modern Language Association. MLA stands for Modern Language Association, belongs to America, and MLA stands for Modern Language Association. Okay, earlier there were two volumes, one manual, two separate manuals. One manual dealing with the preparation of papers, and another manual dealing with the preparation of reference works or books, etc. But now the revised edition, which came out in 2001, is titled as Mla Handbook. Both are merged into one, and the title is Mla Handbook. Okay, and as you have already seen, now it is easy to mention about the prescriptions. Since I have already described the pattern followed by ALA, I have to highlight only the differences from ALA that is available in MLA. Here also, as I told you, in-text citation should be there. That author date system is followed. That is why in the beginning I told you both APA and MLA prescribe author date system. Okay, whereas Chicago Manual Style prescribes both these systems. If you prefer, you can follow author date system, or if you prefer, you also follow enumerated system. That is the pattern of giving numbers for the references. Because nowadays, you know, it is okay, the Modern Language Association publishes the manual. Now it is titled as Mla Handbook. And as we have already seen in the case of APA, in-text citations are to be given, and the references, the list of references are to be given alphabetically at the end of the article or at the end of the book or end of the chapter. As already I have mentioned, it not only gives the reference pattern, as in the case of APA, this also gives specific guidelines for formatting manuscripts. It also provides writers with a system of referencing sources, both parenthetical citation and their essays. Type your paper on a computer and print it out on a standard paper. Standard paper, I told you, they have given the in inches, but it is always better to prepare it in A4 size paper, where the prescription is the metric measurement, that is 210 into 297 millimeters. Double space the text of your paper and use legible font. Okay, here also, earlier they used to prescribe Times New Roman. Nowadays they are not so fastidious about that. because so many varieties of fonts are there, and the individual preferences also will vary. And suppose your university prescribes a different font, you have to necessarily follow that. Don't go by that. If suppose your university prescribes certain fonts, certain other guidelines, you have to assiduously follow the prescriptions of the university rather than following the prescriptions of the APA or MLA. Only thing is that these can serve as general guidelines. In the absence of any clear-cut guideline given by the authority, educational authority, better you can follow it up. Even in that case, in other cases, because the guidelines, I have gone through the guidelines given by various universities, and I have found that many of them are only sketchy. Many of them are really sketchy. Say, for example, if you go through, I've seen that the most elaborate guidelines are given by the IITs. IITs, how to prepare MTech dissertations, then PhD dissertations, DSc dissertations, etc. Most of the IITs have given prescriptions, wider prescriptions running to some 20 or 25 pages. But they are silent on many things. They will just give you the general guidelines. But as far as specific guidelines are concerned, as far as giving citations, etc., you can follow any this thing. Here also the font size as far as Times New Roman is 12 point. And then this also, I just wanted to tell you that they also tell you how to give the page number. MLA style manual just prescribe, give the page numbers consecutively on the upper right hand corner, 1/2 inch from the top. Okay, just see upper right hand corner, that is 1.5 inch from the top, so that the page number appears uniformly in all the pages. So I just wanted to tell you that you can of course deviate if you want, because my personal preference is for giving the page numbers bottom, because the word also permits that also. That is my personal preference. But don't be under the impression that you should assiduously follow this pattern. But as far as possible, try to follow, because that will help you. Then use italics throughout your essay to indicate the title or longer works. Say, for example, suppose you are referring to other works in the in your text, then better use italics to refer to titles. Only when absolutely necessary, give emphasis. Say, for example, some guidelines prescribe that other titles should be given in bold letters. No, it is better to give it in italics. Okay, now here, instead of the word references, say, for example, here in the case of APA, we have seen that the references are titled as references. That is why I have just given you a sample of 4 references that are given at the end. They are titled as references centralized. But here, instead of the title references, MLA prescribes works cited. Don't use references, but prefer works cited as prescribed by MLA. Okay. Okay, other things are there, and there is a deviation in the latest edition, that is in the 9th edition. Earlier, if there are no year of publication, if there is no year of publication, you have to put within parentheses. In the place of year of publication, you have to put ND. That is no date. No date. Because this is just to show you, just to tell the examiner, just to tell the others that there was no date. It is not my mistake that I have omitted the date, but there was no date. And suppose there is no page that prescribed that you have to put within parentheses NP, no page, and that not page, the publisher. If there is no publisher, you have to put no P. But in the latest edition, that is in the 9th edition, this has been removed. That means even if there is no date or year, you should not mention ND. If there is no publisher, you should not mention publisher. That means it has become somewhat lavish. For sources which are 3 or more authors, list the first authors followed author's last name followed by et al. This is uniformly followed. It is not as complex as APA. In APA, we have made a demarcation 1 to 2 authors, then 3 to 19 authors, then more than 19 authors, etc. But here, if it is more than 3, you have to make use of the first name of the author followed by et al. Et al is common for all these things. A city of publication of books is no longer included. You need not worry about, as in the APA style manual, the city of publication is not included. Now, in the latest edition, volume number 12 followed by number, you have to mention VOL followed by the volume number. Then you have to mention NO followed by the number of issue. Okay. Suppose the issue carries the description spring. Certain Western publications, spring, summer, autumn, winter, etc. If it is a quarterly, spring issue will be there, summer issue will be there, autumn issue there, winter issue will be there. In that case, you have to give that also. Earlier, this was not there. You can just give only the volume number and issue number and the year of publication. But here, if the journal issue prescribes spring, then you have to mention it. Or if the month also is given, you have to give the month also. That is a major change which is prescribed there. Then as far as I have already mentioned earlier in APA, if the journal article has got a DOI, that is the digital object identifier, as I told you, digital object identifier is a unique number to refer to a particular author, a particular document, and that has to be given. DOI, that is how. But nowadays it prescribes that you have to pay, you have to put HTTP colon double slash then DOI. Okay. Then if a DOI is not there, you give the URL. That is, URL means the website address. Okay. Uniform resource locator, URL. Here, the URL without HTTP or HTTPS should be included. Suppose sometimes here certain URLs you will see only www, something like that. If a URL doesn't have www, it is your duty to put it HTTP colon double slash or HTTPS colon double slash. I hope at least a few of you know what is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS. HTTPS means it is secure. Secure means you can be pretty sure to cite it. You can refer to it because it is authenticated. Secure, yes, stands for secure. Whereas if S is not there, doesn't mean that it is not authenticated. It may be authentic, but they have not converted into HTTPS. Then angle brackets are no longer used. Angle brackets, in the 6th edition, 7th edition, and 7th edition, these brackets were there as far as giving website addresses. If you copy website address from the site, you will see that you can understand that they come within these angle brackets. I hope you know what is meant by angle brackets. That is why I have given the example. If you say, for example, very often when you give references, you will just paste it from the website. In that case, the angle brackets may appear, but it is not mandatory now. You should remove the angle brackets. Then in the 8th edition or up to the 8th edition, you are asked to mention whether the reference is a print version or a web version. Okay. Especially this was introduced in the 8th edition, and you have to demarcate between the print and the web but now that has been removed. Okay, removed. Okay, in the works cited, I told you instead of giving the title references, you have to title it as works cited. Here, when you give the page number in APA is given after a comma. Okay, the inclusive page number is given. Here, you have to give the page number with a small p full stop. Small p stands for page. If it is you are citing one page, you have to give a small p. And if you are giving two p's, that means that shows a number of pages. Suppose you are referring to an article which occupies from 105 to 133 page, you have to put pp full stop. Okay, here the simple grammatical rule, while you delve deep, you can understand that what they have prescribed is only common sense. Why they insist on that if you make an abbreviation, you have to put a full stop? Because that is the grammar rule. Whenever you make use of a abbreviation, you have to put a full stop unless it is an acronym. Okay, similarly, P, single P stands for page and double P stands for pages. Okay, but this page number, if you are giving within parentheses, that is in-text citation, you should not make use of P. You need not make use of that. Okay, in-text citation, I need not tell you because you are quite familiar with what is meant by in-text citation and what is the purpose of in-text citation. Now, I will just pass on to the patterns to be followed. I will just tell you what is the major difference between APA and MLA. I am just dealing with journal articles. Journal articles, there is only one author. In that case, you have to give the first author. Here, the major difference is that you have to give the full name. The name is in the inverted order. The name of the author here is Daniel K. Hanna. Daniel K. Hanna, but it has to be rendered as Hanna, Daniel K. If it was APA, it could have been put as Hanna D. K. Hanna D full stop K full stop. This is the major difference between these two. Okay. And that is why, there was a somebody has written, why can't they make it uniform? Why they put hurdles before the scholarly writing? Because each style manual coming with their own styles, actually they put a stumbling block before the users. On the other hand, if only one manual was accepted all over, but there are their own reasons. I'm not going into the details due to paucity of time. Here, instead of giving the title, simply you have to put within double quotes. Okay, the title of the article has to be given in double quotes. You can just see, soon after the author, you might have seen that you need not put the year of publication here. Okay, but year of publication has to come after the journal credentials. Okay, here the title of the article has to be put within double quotes. And as in the other case, the title of the article has to be given in italics, then followed by volume number, issue number. There, you need not put volume or you need not put number, but you have to put simply 30, 3. That is the issue number. Only thing is that 30 should be written in italics. But here you have to specifically say what is volume number and what is issue number. Since this article has got 24 pages or 25 pages, it is PP 70 to 94. It is taken from JSTOR. Only the abstract or the full text is taken from JSTOR, and therefore the JSTOR website address also is given. And here, if you are referring to two authors, you have to put and, A and D. There, if there are two authors, you have to put A and D, but within text, in text citation, you have to put an ampersand. But here, uniformly, you have to put A and D throughout. Here also, the title of the article within inverted commas and the journal title in italics. Okay, here, since it has got DOI, DOI also is. So then the same thing is there. Another example. And 3 or more authors. As I told you, things are quite easy here. If there are 3 or more authors, you need not worry about the number of authors to be given in references. You have to think of the first author in inverted format, followed by ETAL, that is et al, that is point authors. And just you can see the title of the articles. Title of the article has to be put within inverted comma or quotations and followed by the title of the journal. Okay. Another thing is that it has to be indented. Okay. Then the same pattern is there as far as books are concerned. Once you are quite familiar with the pattern of giving references and journals, you have to follow the same pattern as far as books are concerned. Only thing is that slight differences will be there. What is the difference? Here, the title of the book has to be given in italics. The title of the book has to be given in italics. There in the journal article, we have seen that the title of the article has to be put within brackets, put within inverted commas, and the title of the book has to be given in italics. And if there are two authors, the two authors have to be given connected by A-N-D, connected by A-N-D, whether it is in-text citation or the citation proper or reference proper or work cited proper, both are connected by A-N-D. Okay. As I have already mentioned in the case of journal articles, if there are two or more authors, okay, only the first author, you need not worry about the second author and third author, and the first author's name has to be followed by the ETAL. Okay. Here, how to give edited works. Edited works, there is a slight difference. Here, plainly you write edited by Harry and Schooner. Harry C. Schooner and Co. is the publisher. Then web page also, it is more or less the same. Okay, here the web page of downloading the web page has to be given. Downloading. Why? What is the sanctity of giving the year of downloading or the day of downloading? Because after some time the web page might have disappeared altogether. And not downloading, but the actual date of the web page. Say for example, it is 19th July 2011. This web page, actually it is a blog. Actually, it is a blog, blog will be denoted by the date, and therefore you have to give the date here also. But the accessed means you have downloaded the information on 5th July. Okay, so both these things are to be given, and how to give social media communication. Suppose you are citing Twitter, or you are citing a message that you received, or an article, or a write-up, or a blog that appeared in social media platform like Twitter or Facebook or some other thing. Here, this is the pattern. Say for example, I am just quoting. It is not my quotation. It is I am taken from a particular site. This is a thing that is the handle. This is known as the handle of Donald Trump, the former American president. You have to list him as Trump, comma Donald. Then you have to give within square brackets his handle. This is his handle at the rate real Donald Trump. And then just as the title of the books or journal articles, you have to give within quotation. Okay. Then Twitter dated 5th May, etc. Okay. These are the things. And now I am just coming to the end of my talk. And so far, I was just giving you, or I was just trying to introduce you to the manual methods of giving references. Still, there are many people who follow manual methods, but now things have progressed so much. For everything, there is software. Everything for software. For example, you know that for everything, there is an app. This is not an app, but several softwares. They are known as the reference management software. Reference management softwares. If you are quite conversant with the manual method, of course, you can follow that. But it is always better to acquaint yourself with the reference management softwares, that is the automated systems, because it has got so many benefits. So many benefits. One immediate benefit of making use of automated system is that, say for example, perhaps you might have noted down, very often I have seen in some of the, in many of the research scholars or the students, they may note down a particular reference, but they may forget certain elements. Say for example, they may note down the title of the journal, title of the article, that is the name of the author, followed by the title of the article, followed by the title of the journal, but they may forget to give the volume number and issue number. They may forget to give the page number. In that case, these reference management softwares are helpful. If you fill up whatever is known to you, it will bring you the complete citation, because the net is full of these citations, and so many advantages are there. And moreover, certain websites like Mendeley was an open source. Even though I have given it as an open source software management, it is not purely open source. It was open source, but now only the shell is there. Shell is there means only the preliminary rudimentary form is available in the open source, but the extended version with the full of provisions are handled, are owned by Elsevier, a prominent publisher, which I have already mentioned. And if you want to have the full provision, you have to subscribe to it. Okay, subscription cost may not be very high, but from our point of view, it may appear to be, say for example, if somebody says you have to pay $10 per month. Oh, $10 means I have to pay 1,000 rupees. That is too much for them, too much for us. But it has got its own advantages, and that is why many of the academic institutions, including colleges, subscribe to this, so that anybody can make use of that. All the stakeholders, all the students or research scholars or teachers of the college can make use of that. Okay, now there are two types of, just like any other software, there are two types. One is commercial, which you have to buy, which you have to subscribe to, and there are open source softwares. Examples of commercial are EndNote, ProSite, Reference Manager, etc. So many are there. EndNote, perhaps at least some of you may be having it as a personal possession, because we are not bothered about subscribing things or buying things, but we will copy from somewhere. Okay, but open source software, very good open source softwares are there. Agon, Mendeley, which I have already mentioned, then Pubs Online, Roughbase, and Zotero. Mendeley and Zotero are the most sought after open source softwares. So my personal advice is that you acquaint yourself with the Zotero. You attend to some of the workshops where you can learn it within 1.5 hours or 2 hours, the various provisions, and then you can practice it. And on the other hand, if you have subscription to Mendeley, there is an added advantage. You can bring out a group of idle people with the same work area or specialization. Suppose you are working on a particular topic in chemistry or physics, you can, the Mendeley has got a provision of making a social network of like-minded people. What is like-minded people? That means people who are interested on a common topic. Okay, that advantage also is there. And this is what I want to discuss with you today. And now I'm just closing down, and this is the time for your discussion. And now
thanks, Sam. How we can arrange the discussion section, either in the chat box or in.
It is better you ask directly. Otherwise, if somebody wants it by chat box, okay, I will attend to that later. But if so that you can just open it so that anybody can. Let us hope that there won't be any overlap.
So those who want to ask the questions, just raise your hand, then I can unmute them. I think now it's muted to everyone. Those who have questions, doubts, just ask to unmute.
Only those who want to ask can unmute. Otherwise, there will be echo.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, actually, I wanted to know about the Zotero. If it is possible, can you explain how to use it? Because it is technically some difficulties. That's why, sir.
Yeah,
Please,
yeah.
sir.
That is why I said, either you have to spend hours together by downloading it and learning it by yourself. And that is why I told you about the easiest way. That is, you attend to a workshop, which are quite often organized. Say, for example, there are many resource persons in our field, in library and information science field itself. You can just request to your college to arrange a workshop. Say, for example, MG University, there are many people. MG University Library, you can arrange a talk or a demonstration session. It will be advantageous because I cannot explain everything because one is paucity of time and that will be boring also. But whereas if you are interested to attend to such a program, it is better because you are interested in that. Okay, so better approach somebody, or you can just request the college or your own college. Suppose you belong to some other college, you can request your own college to arrange such a session. You need not pay so much. They can do it for you either free of cost or for a short fee. Okay. If you have patience, of course, you can learn by yourself because so many tutorials are there. In the web itself, so many tutorials are there. Only thing is that you should have patience you to learn by yourself. And in that case, if you still find some difficulties, you identify an expert and just ring up to him and clarify your doubts. That is the best way.
Is there anyone else who has questions?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for unmuting
Okay.
me. Sir, I want to know about what is the main aim behind to giving so much citation styles and referencing styles. What is the main idea behind that? Because every discipline having different type of a journal describe a particular type of referencing style. What is the main aim or motive behind it?
Because this is, I should say, it is conventional. It is conventional because there are very few journals which will tell you that you follow such and such style manual. That could have saved much of the time, but still each journal want to have their own pattern. They want to have their own pattern, uniqueness. They want to have their own unique identity. That is the main reason. They are not bothered about the botherations of the scholars, as I have already mentioned. If each journal prescribe their own prescriptions, that will be, say, for example, you may be writing one article for one journal, then you may be writing another article for another journal, then you have to be conversant with the citation pattern prescribed by each one. That is there. It is conventionally conditioned, and let us hope that time will come when there will be some uniformity. And of course, it is up to the users. That is what I feel. The users have to question. Our users have to raise queries. Why you are making your own prescriptions when universally accepted guidelines are there? Why can't you say that you follow the pattern of MLA? If it is a journal belonging to social science field, why can't you just recommend that you follow the patterns followed by prescribed by APA? Or if you belong to MLA language, why can't you follow that pattern, etc.? The users, the end users have to be aware. Okay, otherwise, things will go like this. But over a period of time, what I have observed is that there is some unification. Some sort of standardization is there even between the various style manuals. Okay, so let us hope that because then there is another reason for that. Because as I told you, why engineering students or computer science students prefer IEEE? Because there are more provisions. Because in engineering, there are more requirements to cite things which are not common in arts and science subjects or even science subjects. And that is so elaborate. And I tell you, if you log on to Google, and you can just download the prescriptions of the IEEE full text is available free of cost. Okay, you can just see so many options are there. How to cite a standard, how to cite a patent, how to cite another thing which is quite peculiar to, say, for example, designs, how to cite a design, how to write a, say, for example, 3D dimensional model, etc. Such things are not quite common in sciences and social sciences. And that is one of the reasons, because each discipline has got its own characteristics. And that is one reason, but but there can be unification even within a subject. That is why the CBE style manual, about which I told you earlier, there was some sort of unification. Many journals adopted the CBE style, Council of Biology Editors. It was known as Council of Biology Editors style manual, and they were prescribing these things. And some of the biology journals flatly adopted that.
Is there anyone else has questions? The feedback form is given in the chat box. Just to please fill it and to get the e-certificate.
So here there is a question. I think it is a question. It's a statement by Shirley David. In APA, indenting is more than 3 authors. No, indenting is there. Whether it is 1 author or 2 authors or 3 authors or up to 20 authors, indenting. If it exceeds, if the reference exceeds first line, then indentation should be there. That is the prescription of APA. Whether it is 1 author or 2 author, that doesn't matter. Okay.
Is there anyone else? I think it's time to wind up, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.